This begins the formal legal prosecution of the two of them, and it's a long process in New Mexico. They're entitled to a hearing in the municipal court at which the government will have to lay out its evidence against them. The government then must take the case to a grand jury, which meets in secret. That's 23 people. That means that eventually he must surrender. I don't think they're going to lock him up or put him in an orange jumpsuit, but he must surrender, post some sort of bail, give some sort of security that he'll return. Then his lawyers can demand this preliminary hearing, which will be open to the public. The government will have to lay out all the evidence that it has, much of it technical, about how the gun operated. Commenting on all this was none other than Bill Maher in his own inimitable way.
Unless you think Alec Baldwin purposely shot this cinematographer, what the fuck are we talking about? You know, it's like, yeah. It's a horrible tragedy, and then, there may be someone to blame, whoever whose job it was to have that gun there, but I don't think it's the actor's job.
No, there's two additional things. One, I think he was a producer on the film.
It's not the producer's job either to check the guns. I mean, you have to be able to delegate some things in life, no?
Well, but the only thing that he said that he didn't pull the trigger. And the gun can't go. I mean, I don't know enough about this case, but he said he couldn't pull the trigger. But how does a gun go off without pulling the trigger? That's the one thing that I was like, that's a little odd. But.
Right, he did say that, didn't he?
Yeah.
What I don't know. I don't know. He's an actor. You know, that's all I can say. I mean, I just guard them judge them on a different
Are they
curve.
going after? But are they going after him because he is a celebrity? Like, what is the?
I just think we live in a culture where someone always has to take a blame. Nobody can ever just throw up their hands and go, "Oh my God, this is a terrible tragedy." You know, Democrats always have to say, this could never happen again, no matter how rare something. We have to spend $1 zillion, so this will never happen again.
They want a boogeyman.
And Republicans will be like, well, now they're going after your prop guns, you know. No one can ever just be reasonable about anything.
Can you prosecute someone for something they did not intend to do? The short answer is it depends on what courtroom you're in. In the federal system, with just one or two exceptions, the government must always prove intent. In the state system, the states can charge crimes where you don't have to prove intent. Well, how can you punish somebody if they didn't intend something? Well, you can punish behavior that is so reckless that it doesn't care about the value of human life. So if you have a deadly weapon in your hand and you're so reckless that you don't check it to make sure it doesn't have a live round in it, and you pull the trigger jokingly at another person and that person dies, you intended to pull the trigger. You did not intend to kill the person. So for that reason, it's not second-degree murder, like in the case of the Memphis cops. It's a form of involuntary manslaughter. The act was voluntary, pulling the trigger. The effect was involuntary, killing somebody. In this case, simple involuntary manslaughter is 18 months in jail with a presumption, if you don't have a prior conviction. As far as I know, Alec Baldwin doesn't have any prior convictions of felonies. So presumably, with a conviction and a sentence of 18 months, there'd be no jail time, unless the jury decides to enhance the penalty. Because New Mexico has this strange law, involuntary manslaughter alone, like with an automobile or a golf club, 18 months, the presumption is no jail. But if the involuntary manslaughter occurred with a gun, which this one did, if the gun was an essential part of the killing, which was the case in this case, even though Baldwin claims he didn't pull the trigger, if he's convicted of involuntary manslaughter using a gun where the gun was an essential part of the killing, yes, yes, and yes, 5 years minimum, mandatory, full 5 years, no time off. That is what he's facing. Don't know where it's going to go, but it's an interesting conversation that Bill Maher raises. Do you have to check prop guns on sets? Yes. For those of you who play golf, you have to make sure nobody's standing behind you when you swing that club, which if it hits a person in the wrong part of their body could kill them. Answer, yes. When you back up the car, do you have to make sure no one's there? Answer, yes. When you pull a trigger on the set of a movie and you're not certain that there are blanks in there, do you have to make sure that they're just blanks? Answer, yes.